Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about the importance of Tibet for India. This topic is important from the perspective of prelims and also from the perspective of GS mains papers. So let's begin with the topics of discussion that we are going to look at. Starting from the news, we will cover about Tibet, the geographical features and its history. We will also talk about India-Tibet relations, the importance of Tibet for India as well as China. We will discuss about the challenges related to India's policy towards Tibet and the way forward. And in the last of the segment, I am going to ask you a mains-based question for answer writing practice. So let's start with why is it in the news. So the president of China, Xi Jinping, has become the first ever president in the last 30 years to visit Tibet. In a 3-day visit, he announced certain measures for development in Tibet. The US lawmaker has said that it is a threat to India, and also the Biden administration is doing nothing to stop China's march to Tibet. So we will cover this in detail. As an interesting fact, this visit was actually unannounced, and Xi Jinping had gone there to look at the infrastructure when it comes to hydropower infrastructure, and he visited Nyangchi. Nyangchi is a region very close to Arunachal Pradesh. And of course, if he is insisting since the year 2013 to step up the security as well as developmental and infrastructural projects in this region, it is of course a threat to India. If we talk about Tibet, Tibet is situated on the Tibetan Plateau in Asia, and it is the highest elevated region in the entire world at an elevation of 4,900 meters. And Tibet was actually India's actual neighbor. Why? Because after Chinese march to Tibet and after India and China, they signed an agreement in the past about recognizing Tibet as a part of China. One of the certain not very foreseen mistakes of India has been that. So Tibet is a home to the Tibetan population and many ethnic and cultural groups. So if we talk about the history of Tibet, let's have a look at it. So Tibet, 1912 until the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, was never Chinese. Tibet actually became a part of China, a quarter of China, after Mao Zedong. He allowed the march of and complete annexation of Tibet in the year 1950. Then this has often been described by the Tibetan people as a cultural genocide. That means to subside and subsume a culture of a place by the superior culture. As Chinese thought their own culture was superior, they imposed it on the Tibetan population. And the unsuccessful Tibetan uprising of 1959, in which Tibetans rebelled in an attempt to oust China, what happened after that? Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama, as well as his followers, they fled Tibet and they reached India. Now if we talk about the current times, back then the Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he offered refuge to Tibetan population and also took care of the multi-infrastructural support to the population, such as schools, colonies, hospitals, worshipping space as well. Now if we talk about the 14th Dalai Lama, the current times, he is considered as a spiritual leader, and he actually executes his government in exile from McLeodganj, suburb of Dharamsala. But if we talk about the political scenario, Dalai Lama as well as the refugees who are in lakhs, they are not allowed to have any sort of political uprising. And that is one of the reasons, and because two reasons we have to look at. Dalai Lama, being a spiritual head, is considered actually as a political head by many of the refugees. And there is a slight dent with respect to this anomaly in the relationship of Tibet with India. Moving on, If we talk about the current times and contemporary times, in 2014, Prime Minister of India had invited the head of the Tibetan government in exile in India, Lobsang Sangye, to his swearing-in ceremony. But one thing that we have to keep in mind, in the year 2019, when the re-election happened, nothing of such sort happened. Why? Because of the coming in of a summit between India and China, and India did not want to sabotage that. Now recently, the Prime Minister of India wished the Dalai Lama in the first such public acknowledgement since 2013 as the first PM. The shift in India's Tibet policy is majorly focused on symbolic aspects, but there are many challenges. Let's look at the challenges. The first, but before looking at the challenges, kindly pay attention to why is Tibet important to China, because it holds strategic and cultural importance. First, shared history. If you know about the history of Tibet, in the year 1914, when Simla Agreement was signed, then it was signed between China, Tibet and India to delineate the boundaries. So Tibet was actually not China until complete annexation by Mao Zedong in 1950. And it holds a strategic and cultural importance because we have a shared culture, the shared vision of an anti-imperial policies, the shared brotherhood, and of course, because of the long-standing dispute of Tibet and India with China, that also holds an importance. And moving on, that's strategic. Tibet is important for China because China wants its aggressively pursuing its territorial ambitions, and it wants Tibet because it wants Arunachal Pradesh. And of course, if we talk about the current times, the narrative of China since the long past has been that Arunachal Pradesh is South Tibet, which is of course denied by India because India is a sovereign country. So India sees China and as a threat in Tibet. Also, China sees India as a threat. Why? Because India is home to thousands and lakhs of Tibetan refugees. If we talk about the challenges, changes in Tibetan demography is one such, because China is exporting mainland Chinese to Tibet in order to change the demography and culture of Tibet. Also, Tibetans against each other, because after India and China are at loggerheads at Ladakh, so China has raised Tibetan militia to fight India. And India, on the other hand, has also been training Tibetan Special Front Force. So in the long run, it could be Tibet against Tibet. Then we have issue of Tibetan citizenship, because people who are born after the year 1987 as the cutoff, they are not given citizenship in India. So that is another challenge, and it's actually a distress in the Tibetan youth in India. Also, questions of Dalai Lama succession. Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama, the spiritual head of Tibet, as well as considered by the world community as the political head. He says that successor will be a reincarnation. Even if we talk about in India, he could be found. And even if we talk about in Taiwan, it is by the mouth of the Dalai Lama himself. Let's look at the way forward. The first way forward is, let's understand that the policy for Tibet in India is just a policy and not a law. It doesn't have any legal backing. So it's high time now that Indians should also adopt a more assertive policy, especially when US has started to accept more refugees, and it is denting India's impression in the world community of being the sole refuge for Tibetans. And India should avoid a situation where it has a young and restive Tibetan population that resides in India but looks outside of India for its leadership and command structure after Dalai Lama has passed. So India, as it shares a cultural, historical and strategic bond with Tibet, should try to become, and should definitely become, a leader for the Tibetan population, because they have actually suffered a lot at the hands of Chinese cultural genocide. So let's move on to our main spaced question, which says, in the light of the recent visit of Xi Jinping to Tibet, analyze the challenges to India's Tibet policy. I hope you'll answer it with the help of this segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.